episode of the Cricket's 19 Squads, which I worked on during before the pandemic, actually, throughout 2019, because I'm sure the game came out in 2018, ready for the Ashes of 2019, so, or something like that. It was definitely done before the pandemic. At least I can remember. I think it was. I could be wrong in that I finished it during the pandemic, but I feel like I finished it before the pandemic. Anyway, here's the point of the matter: is I've gathered the best players of the decade for the 1910s. Bearing in mind there was a world war, so the squad's going to be pretty small, and this one's for England. So, wow, one straight out the gate is the amazing Jack Hobbs. Now, Jack Hobbs obviously played in the 1920s for the majority of his career also, but for balance and for age, I put him in the 1910s. So you can put him wherever you want to put him, but for ease of finding where he is, Jack Hobbs, otherwise known as Sir John Berry Hobbs, or known as the Master. He played 61 Test matches between 1908 and 1930, and he was known as one of the greatest batsmen in the history of cricket. He is the leading run scorer and century maker in first-class cricket with 61,760 runs and 199 centuries. A right-hand batsman and an occasional right-hand medium bowler. An excellent fielder, particularly in the position of cover point. That's what Wikipedia says. I obviously have other sources of reading, but I'm just reading this because in one place from Wikipedia. But as you can see there, a bit more detail that I do know about Jack Hobbs. Batting master, there's no doubt. Could play the spin, great shot, quick between the wickets, great technique. So that's Jack Hobbs. So, there's my representation of him. I think that's a pretty decent, if I say so myself, representation of Jack Hobbs. I could make his eyes just a touch bigger as I'm looking at a photo of Jack Hobbs now. And you know what? Being the fussy man I am. And yet I think that's a really good picture of him personally. If you want to check, just go online yourself and have a look. And there's Jack Hobbs. And I will make his eyes just a touch bigger. And this is how you do it. Let's go in there. Well, it is the biggest it can be, so to be fair, there's not much I can do about that. It is what it is. Nope, that's the highest I can make it, so fair enough, I'm happy with that. Anyway, so that's Jack Hobbs, and he's got an outstanding rating in the game, to be fair. The team we did just before this, by the way, was the 1900s team, and that's an 80 overall, which is one of the highest for England. As you can see, all the England teams have a rating. It's amongst the highest, yeah. Whereas the 1910s have only got 76, yet they've got Jack Hobbs in their side. So, here we go. Another player that is well known of that era, again would have played what I call cross-era cricket, is a batsman that writers of the time said was a handsome stroke maker. Now, I didn't know much about Frank Woolley before I started this project, other than I would have read about him as a kid without it soaking into my head. He was born in 1887, died in 1978, played between 1906 and 1938, played mostly for Kent Cricket Club. He seems to me, he was a left-handed batsman, a left-arm bowler, and he could, with his bowling, he kind of went between spin, left arm, and left arm medium. He was an outstanding fielder. So hopefully I have recreated that in his skills. I have. And he generally played at first slip. I don't think there's a way in which you can do this. There is a way in which you can do the fielding. Yes, I put close and slip, so that's correct. So basically, he was an outstanding player. He was a Wisden Cricketer of the Year in 1911 as well. In terms of his style and technique, he was tall and graceful with a quiet ear, unhurried in his movements. As a batsman, he had a gift for timing his shots and made full use of his long reach. So it sounds like he was a very tall player. I have no data on how tall he actually was, but I think I made him at least 6'3". It doesn't necessarily look tall and graceful there, so I'll just quickly just go into him for a second. But they did say that Woolley was one of the best stylistically to watch, so that is nice to know about Frank Woolley. Oops, I spelt it wrong, didn't I? I knew to bring up Bob Warmer. Frank Woolley, there we are. So let's make him. He's 6'2", so that's tall enough. But I do know his appearance in terms of his jaw is a bit more like that, and his face would have been a touch longer. That's it. A bit more angular about him. I don't know his height, but he looks in the pictures definitely about 6'3", and that's that. And he was very slim of build, with a very slim neck. Can't get much slimmer than that. That's it. So that's Frank Woolley. I'll just speed up now, just give you my understanding of these players without going through their biographies. Let me know if you want to hear the biographies, and I can do so, a bit more detailed research. I have all the information. It's just having it to hand while I'm doing this is difficult. Okay, so you have another player called George Gunn, all-rounder, world class. Then you got Johnny Douglas. I'm sure had a nickname of Johnny Won't Hit Today. I'm sure that's the same guy. An all-rounder, bowler, tough guy, bit of a superstar of his time. Frank Foster, another bowler there, left-arm fast medium, good bowler. Then you got Phil Mead, not the Phil Mead from the 1960s, but another Phil Mead, left-hand bat, slow left-armer. J.W. Hearn, a decent cricketer as well. Batsman, bowler. A lot of these guys can bat and bowl, which seems to be a requirement of that era. Then you got a gentleman with a lovely name here of Septimus Kinnear. Again, another all-rounder. Then you got a left leg spinner called Joe Vine. Again, could bat and bowl. Another excellent all-rounder. Then another right-hand fast bowler called Bill Hitch. Would definitely play well. Then you got Major Booth, right-hand fast medium. So these guys, definitely this is a golden era of cricket, which I think it was called that anyway, because these guys are all talented. Lionel Tennyson I have heard of. He organised many tours. Lionel Tennyson. So he's a well-known figure in cricket. They all are, but Lionel Tennyson will stand out because I think he organised quite a lot of tours. I'm sure he took a team to the West Indies before the West Indies became a Test cricketing nation. He's an all-rounder here, not the best in this squad, but definitely had something about him. You got Morris Board, just an average batsman here it seems. Tiger Smith, average keeper, and slightly better keeper with one of the worst batting averages, Herbert Burt Strudwick. So the lineups I made at the time was Jack Hobbs would open with George Gunn. Bear in mind, Gunn can bowl as well. Then you got this Phil Mead, who looks like an attacking batsman, along with Frank Woolley. Now, Woolley's average doesn't seem to be that high, actually. I suppose because he was an all-rounder. He definitely only has a test average of 36, and he has a batting average of 40 first class. So he could probably do a little bit of a bump. There must be a reason why he was so well respected. But his bowling average, however, is pretty good. So I might have underestimated Frank Woolley. I'll just pause for a second because my kettles decide to go off in the background. So let's give him a bump, shall we? I see why. So he was definitely a good, excellent batsman, but he could bowl as well. This is one of those quirks in the game where you have to make him one or the other. I prefer to make him a batting all-rounder, Just so I could bump his skills up. Someone like him would have had good footwork. The glance would have been good, sweep. I've got to keep cutting down on his special shots. That's better. Hasn't affected his bowling at all. Yes, it has. Now then, we'll make the bowling a little bit better. Cannot do there. Does have it with the perks. Alright, I get it. He's got to be a bowling all-rounder. Sorry about this. Just playing around with him just a bit to get it right. His batting's fine. His bowling. Yeah, he could bowl. He was one of the excellent bowlers of his time. So I've got to make him such. But also a decent batsman. So, interesting. So he'd probably be middle order now. That's better. It's pretty much exactly what it was, to be fair. So I'll leave him as he was. So that's Frank Woolley. I'm actually quite keen to play with this team, actually, to see how they are. They seem strong all around. And that's that. Trent Bridge isn't going there, but you did it yourself. So I'll bring that to an end. I think the uniforms, like I said, are the same as what was before. Pretty uniform. Yeah. I'll bring that to an end. So if you like, please press like and a subscribe. Very much appreciated.